Enemies of the mind. They're sneaky, they're subtle, and they're often right there with us, day in and day out. They take hold of our thoughts, twist our emotions, and without us even knowing it, rob us of our potential. Now the mind is a powerful tool. It can create incredible success, or if we're not careful, allow these enemies to sabotage us from the inside. So what are these enemies? What are these forces working against us, hindering us from being the best version of ourselves? Well, the first enemy is doubt. Oh, doubt is a killer, isn't it? Doubt can paralyze you. You might be on the edge of making a big decision, taking a leap forward, and then, all of a sudden, doubt creeps in. What if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What will people think? It whispers in your ear. You're not good enough, or you don't have what it takes. Now, where does this doubt come from? Well, it can come from the outside, from people who criticize you, or from past failures that linger in your mind. But here's the key. Doubt is not a reflection of your true potential, only a reflection of your current mindset. I remember early in my career, I had my doubts. I wasn't born into a wealthy family, didn't have any special privileges. And when I looked at successful people, I doubted whether I could ever reach their level. But I learned something crucial. Doubt thrives in inaction. You see, the more you sit around and think about all the reasons something won't work, the stronger doubt becomes. The cure for doubt is action. You've got to move, even if it's just one small step. Each time you act, each time you take a risk, you weaken doubt. You begin to replace it with belief. Because here's the thing. Once you've taken action, you gain evidence, and evidence builds belief. Another enemy that often lurks in the shadows is fear. Now, fear is an interesting one because it's often tied closely with doubt. It's that feeling in your gut when you're about to step into the unknown, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. You know, when I started my first business, fear was right there with me. Every new endeavor I took on, every speech I gave, fear was always there. But I learned something important about fear. It's a natural response. It's your mind trying to protect you. But it doesn't always mean that something bad is going to happen. In fact, more often than not, fear is a sign that you're about to grow. You see, fear is a signal that you're stepping out of your comfort zone. And nothing great ever happens inside the comfort zone. So what do you do with fear? Do you wait for it to go away? No. If you wait until you're not afraid, you'll never move. The key is to move forward despite the fear. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the willingness to act even when fear is present. You might fail, yes, but the alternative is far worse, staying stuck where you are. The truth is, every successful person you know has faced fear. The difference is they didn't let it stop them. Now let's talk about the next enemy, indifference. This one's sneaky. It's when you say to yourself, it doesn't really matter. You know you should do something, but you just don't feel like it. You become indifferent to your own goals, your own future. And here's the danger. Indifference often comes dressed as comfort. It feels safe, but what it's really doing is keeping you from progressing. You see, once indifference sets in, it becomes easy to delay, to procrastinate, to say, tomorrow. I'll get to it tomorrow. But let me tell you, tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next month. And before you know it, Years have passed, and you're in the same place. Indifference comes when you lose your sense of urgency. Imagine if you treated each day as if it were your last chance to take a step toward your goals. How much more would you get done? How many more doors would you knock on? How many more ideas would you try? When you lose urgency, you start coasting, and coasting always leads downhill. Indifference is the enemy of excellence. It's the mindset that says, good enough is good enough. But is it really? Is good enough going to get you the life you've always dreamed of? One of the most dangerous enemies of the mind is worry. Now, worry is a waste of time, energy, and emotion. Worry doesn't solve problems. It only magnifies them. When you worry, you take a small issue and turn it into a mountain. You start thinking about everything that could go wrong, and before you know it, your mind is racing, your energy is drained, and nothing productive gets done. Worry is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. Now, I'm not saying you should ignore your problems, but there's a difference between concern and worry. Concern leads to action. Concern says, let's figure out how to solve this. Worry, on the other hand, keeps you stuck, spinning in circles. I remember a time when I had so many things on my plate that I didn't know where to start. I found myself worrying constantly. But then I realized something. The more I worried, the less I accomplished. Worry is like a fog. It makes everything seem bigger and scarier than it really is. But here's the truth. Most of what we worry about never even happens. We spend hours, days, even weeks consumed by worries that are nothing more than illusions. So what's the solution? You've got to discipline your mind to stay focused on what you can control and let go of what you can't. Now let's talk about the enemy of pessimism. Oh, this one's powerful. Pessimism will have you seeing the worst in everything. It's the mindset that says, it's never going to work out, or I'll never catch a break. Pessimism drains your energy, your enthusiasm, and your hope. And the worst part? It's contagious. If you spend too much time around negative people, their pessimism starts to rub off on you. But here's the thing. Pessimism is a habit. And just like any habit, it can be broken. It starts with your attitude, with your perspective. Life is full of challenges, no doubt. But it's also full of opportunities. The question is, where are you focusing your attention? If you're always looking for what's wrong, guess what? You'll find it. But if you train your mind to look for solutions, to see the possibilities, to find the silver lining, your entire outlook changes. Success is built on optimism. It's the belief that no matter how tough things get, there's always a way forward. You have to believe that you have the ability to overcome obstacles, to learn from setbacks, and to keep moving forward. That's the kind of mindset that breaks through barriers. Now, there's another enemy of the mind that's closely related to pessimism, and that's criticism. Not just the criticism that comes from others, but the criticism we inflict upon ourselves. You see, we are often our own harshest critics. We beat ourselves up for every mistake, every failure, every missed opportunity. And while self-reflection is important, self-criticism can become destructive. When you constantly focus on your shortcomings, you forget about your strengths. You become blind to your own potential. You've got to learn how to give yourself credit. Celebrate your progress, even if it's small. Acknowledge your efforts, even if you haven't yet reached your goal. Because here's the truth. Success is a journey, not a destination. And along the way, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to stumble. But every mistake is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to get better. Don't let self-criticism rob you of your confidence. Instead, use it as fuel to improve. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I do better next time? That's the mindset of growth. And it's how you overcome this enemy. Next, let's talk about one of the most subtle enemies, complacency. Now, complacency is dangerous because it feels comfortable. It tells you that you've done enough, that you don't need to push any harder, that you can take it easy. But complacency is a trap. It keeps you from reaching your full potential. Just when you think you've reached the top, complacency sneaks in and says, you've made it. You can relax now. But the moment you stop growing, you start declining. Life doesn't stay static. It's always moving. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. Complacency happens when you stop setting new goals, when you lose the hunger for improvement. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that once you've achieved a certain level of success, you can coast. But let me tell you, the most successful people never stop growing. They never stop learning. They never stop challenging themselves. Complacency is the enemy of progress. It's the reason why so many people plateau in their careers, in their personal development, in their relationships. So, how do you avoid it? You've got to stay hungry. You've got to keep pushing yourself to the next level, no matter how successful you become. So, these are the enemies of the mind: doubt, fear, indifference, worry, pessimism, criticism, and complacency. They're always there, lurking, waiting for an opportunity to hold you back. But the good news is, you can overcome them. You can train your mind to recognize these enemies and replace them with positive, empowering thoughts. You can develop the discipline to take action, to push through fear, to stay optimistic, and to keep moving forward no matter what. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. Because when you master your mind, you master your life.